I'm Natasha Kirchuk, and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. Coming up in today's newscast, 2 Israeli police officers are wounded in a terror attack. The biggest high-tech deal in Israeli history is about to be made, and if you believe laughter is therapy, then get ready to watch how Israeli clown doctors are changing the face of medicine. Stay tuned for the latest news in Israel. Two border police officers have been moderately wounded following a stabbing attack in Jerusalem early this morning. The incident came just ahead of yet another celebration of the Jewish holiday of Purim, which is being commemorated in the Israeli capital today. The Palestinian terrorist entered a guard booth where the 2 officers were stationed outside of the old city. It was just after 4 a.m. when the terrorist began stabbing the officers with a large knife. One of the victims managed to break free, load his weapon, and shoot the attacker, who was critically wounded and later died of his injuries. Both of the injured officers have been taken by paramedics to a nearby hospital for moderate wounds, and luckily they're both in stable condition.
סמוך לשער בה מגיע מחבל לכיוון שער האריות. בשלב מסוים נכנס בריצה לתוך נקודת המשטרה במקום. מחל שם מאבק עם השוטרים, אשר בסופו של תהליך מנטרלים אותו. מדובר בפעילות מהירה, נחושה, שהובילה לנטרול האירוע ומניעת המשך פגיעה באחרים. בסך הכל אנחנו מדברים שעות בוקר מוקדמות לפני התפילות, עדיין הערנות של השוטרים והתגובה המהירה הביאה לנטרול של אותו מחבל.
The assailant has been identified as Ibrahim Mahmoud Matar, a 25-year-old resident of a nearby Arab neighborhood, which has been home to several terrorists. During a subsequent raid of Matar's house, his parents and at least one of his brothers were arrested. A flag belonging to the Hamas terrorist group is among evidence collected at the site. Even though there's been far fewer street attacks recently, 40 Israelis, 2 Americans, a Palestinian, and an Eritrean national have been killed in a wave of Arab violence that began a year and a half ago. Israel blames the violence on incitement by the Palestinian leadership. The Hamas rulers of the Gaza Strip continue to refer to each attack as a part of a Jerusalem intifada. In accordance with standard procedure during Jewish holidays to ensure public safety, a full closure was placed on the West Bank and Gaza for Purim. Police credit the increased deployment of troops to the capital for success in being able to end this latest incident swiftly. All right, well, the Jordanian soldier who murdered 7 Israeli schoolgirls and wounded 8 others is being showered with a hero's welcome since returning home from prison. Villagers lined up to greet Ahmad Dakamseh, who served 20 years behind bars for firing his military weapon at a group of Israeli students in 1997. At the time, the teenagers were on a field trip to a site between Jordan and Israel called the Island of Peace. Dakamseh's 78-year-old mother has expressed pride in her son's actions, saying they bring honor to the entire Arab and Islamic nation. She says she's overcome with happiness now that he has now returned home.
كيف بس ما تحملتش خابر حالي عبطت وما بدريش عن حالي ظليت لمصابيح وانا ما بدريش والله نستحقه وان ما استحقه انسجنن يعني لا بيدي ولا بيده نصيب كتب علينا الجميع الحمد لله بارك الله باللي وقف معانا من أولها لآخرها.
Dakamseh has expressed no remorse for killing the Israeli school children. In fact, he said in the past that his only regret is that his gun malfunctioned, stopping him from killing more. He's also vowing to repeat his actions if given the opportunity. Dakamseh would have faced the death penalty, but the military tribunal that convicted him ruled that he was mentally unstable, so he was given a life sentence instead, which is equivalent to 20 years under Jordanian law. Here in Israel, one of the survivors of Dakamseh's shooting rampage is speaking out.
הוא לא קיבל את העונש שלו מספיק. זה אפילו לא מאסר עולם. ואני חושבת שהוא היה צריך לקבל הרבה יותר, ולא לצאת בחגיגות כאלה. זה לא... הוא לא ריצה את העונש שלו, לדעתי. זה לא מספק לא אותי ולא את המשפחות ולא את זכר החברות שלי. ידענו שהוא הולך להשתחרר, אבל אף פעם אתה לא מוכן באמת. וקשה, בהרגשה שלי זה פציעה מחדש, נפשית ופיזית. כאילו, סובבים לי סכין בתוך הלב.
In recent years, Daqamse has been considered heroic among Jordan's strong opposition parties. The movement is led by Islamists and other Arab nationalists who are vehemently opposed to the kingdom's peace treaty with Israel. According to reports, the Palestinian Authority security forces have just used live-fire tear gas and stun grenades to end a protest gathered in the Denesheh refugee camp in the West Bank last night. ILTV's Aaron Porras joins me in the studio with more. Aaron, what were these protests about?
Well, I'll answer that question in full detail in just a moment, but it occurred just outside Bethlehem in the West Bank last night, and the Palestinian security forces were responding to rioters who were throwing Molotov cocktails and rocks, and that's according to Palestinian media news.
The protesters were organizing against the legal charges brought against 6 Palestinian activists arrested by the PA last year and against alleged police brutality during a demonstration outside the magistrate's court in Ramallah earlier in the day. The 6 activists under legal proceedings were charged last year for possession of illegal weapons and planning attacks on Israel. One of the detained activists, Basel al-Araj, was even killed by Israeli Defense Forces earlier this month when they tried to arrest him. Al-Araj died during the ensuing shootout. Palestinian Ma'an News reports that 6 protesters were detained and 11 injured.
10 years ago, voice recognition software was a sort of thing you'd only find in science fiction, but today almost every smartphone will help you call your friends or navigate around the city if you just talk to it. Joining me in the studio today is Tzachi Naim, General Manager at AC Voca, an Israeli company that's been developing software recognition technology for years. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, nice to be here.
So now I understand that you have a new product called AudioCodes. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so AudioCodes is, I would say, a veteran company, exists for over 24 years, publicly traded on NASDAQ and in the Israel Stock Exchange. And we are a small startup in AudioCode that is developing the software recognition software. And we have developed several products based on this technology.
What are those products? Tell us about them.
So we have 2 products. So first of all, the challenge with speech recognition is, as you said, it exists for many years, but still you can't see a high usage for it, mainly in the enterprise market. You see it mainly using on their smartphone. So we have developed solutions that are making life easier for consumers to connect to organization and also making the organizational work more efficient and cost effective.
How so? I mean, what stands out about the technology that you guys have created?
Okay, so what we have created is we took the technology and we said, okay, we have the ability to recognize words, and with those words we tell the computers what to do. So we have developed, for instance, one of our solutions is a voice dialing solution. So let's say that you're an organization that have 1,500 employees worldwide, and you want to connect to those employees. It's very difficult to dial to a person because you have to look at certain dictionary and find his number or get his email address and write him an email. So we have developed an application that actually you can install on your smartphone, and then you simply say the employee name and then say John Doe, and then the application recognizes the name, get to the database, finds him, and then it gives you the possibility to route the call to his mobile phone or his fixed line, or to write him an email or even WhatsApp, if you want.
Very interesting. But now, you know, somebody like me, I don't have 1,000 employees necessarily in my company, but I do have a lot of contacts on my phone. Would I be able to do the same thing? Just, you know, say a name and it would find...
Yeah, so actually, if you go to Google Play or to App Store and you download our software, it's called Vocanom. If you download it for personal use, it's free. It's not. It costs nothing, and you can simply install it on your phone, and then it will recognize your contacts on your phone, and then you can simply do the same with your personal contacts.
Well, what I would like it to do is just go through all my emails and find the names of any person that I've ever contacted, because you know how difficult that can be. I mean, I think one of the main issues with voice recognition, as somebody who has an iPhone, I just don't always trust it, you know, Siri, for example, because it won't always find the exact name that I'm looking for. It will hear me incorrectly. So
exactly, that's one of the challenges with the technology, and this is why it is not adapted globally as you expect it to be, because the technology exists. So what we are doing is that we have algorithm that is constantly improving the software. So for instance, in Israel, in Hebrew, we are getting for over 90% accuracy in recognition. For English, for American English, we have over 85% accuracy. So
is this available? It's available now in Israel and also in the United States, or where could you get your hands on it?
We have developed first of all in Israel, and we are testing the technology here. We now got over 100 commercial customers in Israel, large enterprises that are using him. Some of them are very known brand names. And now our business plan is to start working in Germany, because the challenge in the speech recognition is that you have a very good dictionary with the right word, so you have to get the right word in the specific languages, and also the different accents. So like in Israel, you have so many accents, like Arabic accent, I don't know, Italian accent, whatever. And then in the US, you have different accents, like Spanish accents a lot.
Well, yeah, I mean, and that's exactly the fundamental issue with, you know, using your iPhone to just say a name. If you don't pronounce that name in a way that the system recognizes, and it won't find the name. So it seems like you guys are really on the path towards changing voice recognition technology. Well, sounds amazing. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.
All right. Now, there are growing concerns that Israel is losing bipartisan support in the United States, and a delegation from the American Jewish Reform Movement is trying to warn the Israeli Prime Minister. But even more concerning is perhaps the growing divide between Orthodox and Reform Jews and the impact it's having on American Jewish support for the State of Israel. 35% of American Jews belong to the Reform Movement, which is the largest of all the Jewish branches in the U.S. By comparison, only about 10% of American Jews define themselves as Orthodox. That means the Reform leaders carry a lot of weight. Their one-hour meeting with the premier was packed with discussion ranging from bilateral relations between Washington and Jerusalem to the Iranian nuclear threat. During conversations about religious pluralism in Israel, the group wanted to know why the government's 2016 plan for an egalitarian prayer space at the Western Wall has yet to be implemented. The premier has reaffirmed his commitment to upholding the project. The Reform leaders say they're pleased Netanyahu has appointed Regional Cooperation Minister Tzachi Hanegbi to resolve the matter with the ultra-Orthodox parties, who are blocking the decision. The left-leaning American delegation also informed the premier of their strong support for a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict and voiced criticism over further settlement expansion in the West Bank. The premier is said to have listened politely before defending his own positions. In addition to talks with other Israeli leaders while they were here, the Reform representatives also traveled to Ramallah for a meeting with Palestinian Authority President Mahmoud Abbas. The saga of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his wife Sarah are continuing. This time because of a defamation lawsuit they filed against a local journalist for something he posted on Facebook. The Tel Aviv Magistrates Court has summoned the couple to testify during tomorrow's proceedings against Yediot Achronot newspaper writer Yigal Sarna. The judge refused Netanyahu's request that the hearing be delayed until summer. The Israeli leader and his wife filed their libel suit last year after Sarna claimed in a Facebook post that Mrs. Netanyahu kicked her husband out of his motorcade onto the Jerusalem-Tel Aviv highway. He also claimed the premier's wife then mocked the security arrangements and the entire country. The couple are demanding over $72,000 in damages, although it's never been explained how that precise amount was reached. The Netanyahus are accusing Sarna of waging obsessive, venomous attacks against them on social media for some time with the malicious intent of harming their good names. Quite a few Israelis were shocked that the judge upheld the defense attorney's plan to call the former head of the country's Shin Bet security agency to the stand to offer what Sarna insists is proof that his account of the incident is true. And by the way, the journalist is also reportedly connected to the corruption investigation of the premier. It appears that earlier reports about a likely drop in Israeli housing prices may have been overly optimistic, unfortunately for all of us. The latest data shows that the cost of buying your own home in the Jewish state has been rising faster than anywhere else in the world over the past decade, second only to Hong Kong. The Economist Weekly magazine is reporting that between 2006 and 2016, Israeli home prices increased a whopping 82.1%. And that's if you take inflation into account. Because nominally, the cost skyrocketed a dizzying 18%. That's still very steep, even if you compare those figures with Hong Kong's spike of 126.8% in real numbers and 211% in nominal terms. Australia, by the way, experienced a far more modest 37% increase, while during the same period, housing prices actually declined 16% in the U.S. because of the 2008 subprime crisis. So far this year, the Israeli Finance Ministry says there's been slowdown in sales. 5% fewer people bought homes in January than the previous month. This shows a continuing trend that started in 2016 when Israel ranked third highest on the global list for rising housing costs after New Zealand and Canada. All right, get this. The Jerusalem-based Mobileye startup is about to make the history books again, this time for receiving the largest amount of cash ever traded for an Israeli company. If the reports are true, the tech industry giant Intel is prepared to pay over $14 billion to get its hands on the Israeli developer. Intel execs have yet to confirm the sale, but it's creating enormous buzz here in the Jewish state. The company was founded in 1999 and it creates technology for vision-based advanced driver assistance systems. The firm recently made headlines for conducting the most complex automated drive ever publicly demonstrated on an urban highway in Las Vegas. And even before the prospective acquisition, Mobileye has already partnered up with Intel and BMW to introduce the first fleet of autonomous cars by the end of 2017. Mobileye is supplying its advanced high-performance computer vision processors to the Endeavor. This means the Israeli technology will be critical in the first collaborative efforts to cross the finish line in the worldwide race to produce the first real driverless car. Very cool. All right, today marks the final day of the Jewish holiday of Purim, and Israelis both young and old have been flooding the streets with their amazing and colorful costumes. ILTV's Joy Gavijon is back in the studio with us from yesterday to give us a scoop on the celebrations. Joy, what can we look forward to?
Well, if what I showed you yesterday surprised you, what I'm going to show you today, it's going to give you like a closer idea of what Purim is all about here in Israel. Israelis were really creative. We saw from Donald Trump, Netanyahu.
I know, we've seen it all.
Yeah, we've seen it all.
Yesterday, and even today in our office, there was a crazy Purim party. Too bad you guys missed it, but I want to see what video you have for us.
Let's take a look.
I don't want Purim to end after seeing that I should have worn a costume on the set. All right, guys, I am so excited to share this story with everybody. Israel is revolutionizing medicine by bringing clowns into hospitals, and I got to get up close and personal with some of these dream doctors. Let's just say I couldn't stop smiling. Most of the time, you're not supposed to be smiling when you're in the hospital. But 10-year-old Tamar has just made a new friend, and she can't help but flash a grin. It's understandable. I mean, how often is your doctor dressed up like a clown?
על מה את חולמת? פסטה ברוטב שמנת? לא, עגבניות. חלב, טוב, חלב. תביא גם לי שלוק.
What do doctors and clowns have to do with one another? Well, it may not seem like there's a connection, but here in Israel, some doctors actually behave like clowns, and you're about to find out why. Let's go check it out. They say the best therapy is laughter, and it looks like Israel's medical community has taken that advice to a whole new level. Meet the clown therapists, otherwise known as the Israeli Dream Doctors.
Excited because when the camera, that makes me excited. And you, Natasha, too.
Does it make your nose a little more
Yeah, in my cheeks a little bit, yes, and in my heart to beat a little bit.
Israeli research shows that putting trained clowns on medical teams helps reduce stress and pain and boost immunity.
מה, לבד יש לך אומץ ללכת איתי בלי אמא? כל הכבוד. מה את אומרת? זה יפה? מתאים לי?
That's why lots of pediatric units across the country make sure to have clowns on staff to bring out a giggle for not only the little patients but their parents as well.
We're here today because there's a suspicion of my daughter to celiac, and I think the clown is maybe more for the parents because also the parents are very stressed.
את רוצה שיורידו לך עכשיו? אני הולכת לדבר. אני הולכת, אני יודעת שהרופא... אוי, סליחה. אני הולכת... לא. שנייה. בסדר? תביא כיף. למעלה עדיף. למטה כדאי. לא הספקתי לברוח. למטה כדאי. לא הספקתי לברוח.
The University of Haifa in Israel has the only undergraduate degree program in the world in clown therapy as a paramedical profession. And that's all because of the organization Dream Doctors, which has helped turn clowning into a serious business. Now, many doctors say they wish they had clown therapists to help them out all the time.
People have to understand that it's not only about the smile and the laugh. It really changes medical treatment. It makes it easier, it makes it faster, make them recover faster. It's much easier for us, it's much easier for the kids.
Do the clowns make the doctors feel any better too about what they're doing?
Of course. You know, they, you know, we're yeah, you know.
We make them massage.
Yes, you know. You know, we are pediatricians, and we're some of us are a little bit of clowns also by ourselves, and they give us legitimacy to be more playful, less official. For the kids, and I can tell you that the kids love it.
I think it's fair to say the effect is contagious.
I guess we lost her for today. That's about it, my friend. Give us a...
Hello! Sorry. Oh,
I had no idea what was happening.
Perfect. Needs an audition to Natasha. Please. Perfect. Very good. Very good.
But as funny as it all may be, clown doctors are certainly no joke. After all, they're ultimately helping families in some of the toughest moments of their lives.
מה עושות האיילות בלילות אל חולמות? כן, זה נראה מוזר. והם נרדמים עם עיניים פקוחות, וזה מוזר.
כן. וגלום למעלה, למטה,
זהו. אנחנו יוצאים. כל הכבוד, בהצלחה חבר'ה.
It's very tense, you know, in hospitals. You meet the children in a very specific place. Some in a weak place, very weak place, very, very weak place, and very, very weak place. And when you interact with them, and suddenly they show you their strong side, their creative side. That's, I believe, my job, to discover their artists, their actors inside, their clowns inside of them.
The Hebrew word of the day is brought to you by the University of Haifa, Hebrew Summer Ulpan, open to everyone.
That was so exciting. All right, now for our Hebrew word of the day. We recently learned of the incredible impact that your average clown can have on your health. So today's word is leitzan, meaning clown. Now, while many of us may have been scarred by images of scary leitzanim or clowns in our childhood, I know I was, most leitzanim just want to make you smile with a latzon or a prank and their general leitzanut or clowning behavior. So next time you see a red-nosed bringer of joy, let your inner leitzan flag fly and join in for a laugh. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the weather forecast. Tonight should be partly cloudy with possible light showers and a low of 52 or 11 degrees Celsius. Tomorrow you can expect more of the same and a high of 66 or 19 degrees Celsius. All right, that's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.66 shekels to the American dollar. Remember to sign up for our daily newsletter at iltv.tv. Thanks for watching and see you next time.